Chapter 32. A Fallen Star. The next day, Spencer stood at her old bedroom window, smoking a Marlboro and looking across her lawn into Allison's old bedroom. It was dark and empty. Then her eyes moved to the De Laurentiis' yard. The flashing lights hadn't stopped since they found her. The police had put up a do not cross tape all around the concrete area of Allison's old backyard, even though they had already moved her body from the ground. They'd put huge tents around the area while doing that too, so Spencer hadn't seen anything. Not that she'd wanted to. It was beyond awful to think that Allie's body had been next door to her, rotting in the ground for 3 years. Spencer remembered the construction before Allie disappeared. They dug the hole right around the night she went missing. She knew, too, that they'd filled it after Allie disappeared, but wasn't sure when. Someone had just dumped her there. She stubbed over her Marlboro in the brick siding of her house and turned back to Lucky Magazine. She'd hardly exchanged a word with her family since yesterday's confrontation, and she'd been trying to calm herself down by going methodically through it and marking everything she wanted to buy with the magazine's little yes stickers. As she looked at a page on tweed blazers, though, her eyes glazed over. She couldn't even talk to her parents about this. Yesterday, after they confronted her at breakfast, Spencer had wandered outside to see what the sirens were all about. Ambulances still made her nervous from both the Jenna thing and Allie's disappearance. As she walked across her lawn to the De Laurentiis' house, she sensed something and turned back. Her parents had come out to see what was going on, too. When they saw her turn, they quickly looked away. The police told her to stand back, that this area was off limits. Then Spencer saw the morgue van. One of the police's walkie-talkies crackled Allison. Her body had grown very cold. The world spun. Spencer slumped down on the grass. Someone spoke to her, but she couldn't understand him. "You're in shock," she finally heard. "Just try to calm down." Spencer's field of vision was so narrow, she wasn't sure who she was, only that it wasn't her mom or dad. The guy came back with a blanket and told her to sit there for a while and keep warm. When Spencer felt well enough to get up, whoever had helped her was gone. Her parents had left too. They hadn't even bothered to see if she was okay. She'd spent the rest of Saturday and most of Sunday in her room, only going out into the hall to the bathroom when she knew no one else was around. She hoped someone would come check up on her. But when she heard a small tentative knock on her door earlier this afternoon, Spencer didn't answer. She wasn't sure why. She listened to whoever it was sigh and pad back down the hall. And then, only a half hour ago, Spencer had watched her dad's Jaguar back out of the driveway and turn toward the main road. Her mom was in the passenger seat. Melissa was in the back. She had no idea where they were going. She slumped down in her computer chair, pulled up the first email from A, the one talking about coveting things she couldn't have. After reading it a few times, she clicked reply. Slowly she typed, "Are you Allison?" She hesitated before hitting send. Were all the police lights making her trippy? Dead girls didn't have Hotmail accounts, nor did they have instant messenger screen names. Spencer had to get a grip. Someone was pretending to be Allie, but who? She stared up at the Mondrian mobile she'd bought last year at the Philadelphia Art Museum, when she heard a plink sound. There it was again, plink. It sounded really close, actually, like at her window. Spencer sat up, just as a pebble hit her window again. Someone was throwing rocks. Eh? As another rock hit, she went to the window and gasped. On the lawn was Wren. The blue and red lights from the police cars kept making streaky shadows across his cheeks. When he saw her, he broke into a huge smile. Immediately, she bolted downstairs, not caring how horrible her hair looked or how she was wearing marinara-stained Kate Spade pajama pants. Wren ran after her as she came out the door. He threw his arms around her and kissed her scruffy head. "You're not supposed to be here," she murmured. "I know," he stood back, "but I noticed your parents' car was gone, so..." She pushed her hand through his soft hair. Wren looked exhausted. What if he had to sleep in his little Toyota last night? "How did you know I'd be back in my old room?" He shrugged. "A hunch. I also thought I saw your face at the window. I wanted to come earlier, but there was... all that." He gestured to the police cars and random newsvans next door. "You okay?" "Yeah," Spencer answered. She tilted her head up to Wren's mouth and bit her chapped lip to keep from crying. "Are you okay?" "Me? Sure." "Oh, do you have somewhere to live?" "I can stay on a friend's couch until I find something. Not a big deal." If only Spencer could stay on a friend's couch, too. Then something occurred to her. "Are you and Melissa over?" Wren cupped her face in his hand and sighed. "Of course," he said softly. "It was kind of obvious with Melissa. It wasn't like..." He trailed off, but Spencer thought she knew what he was going to say. It wasn't like being with you. She smiled shakily and laid her head against his chest. His heart thumped in her ear. She looked over at the De Laurentiis' house. Someone had started a little shrine to Allison on the curb, complete with pictures and Virgin Mary candles. In the center were little alphabet magnet letters that spelled Allie. Spencer herself had propped up a smiling picture of Allison in a tight blue Von Dutch t-shirt and spanking new sevens. She remembered when she'd taken the picture. They were in 7th grade, and it was the night of Rosewood's winter formal. The 5 of them had spied on Melissa as Ian picked her up. Spencer had gotten hiccups from laughing when Melissa, trying to make a grand entrance, tripped down the Hastings front walk on the way to the tacky rented Hummer limo. It was probably their last night, really fun, carefree memory. The Jenna thing happened not too long after. Spencer glanced at Toby and Jenna's house. No one was home, as usual, but it still made her shiver. As she blotted her eyes with the back of her pale, thin hand, one of the news vans drove by slowly, and a guy in a red Phillies cap stared at her. She ducked. Now would not be the time to capture some emotional girl breaks down at the tragedy footage. You'd better go, she sniffed and turned back to Wren. It's so crazy here, and I don't know when my parents will be back. All right, he tilted her head up. But can we see each other again? Spencer swallowed and tried to smile. As she did, Wren bent down and kissed her, wrapping one hand around the back of her neck and the other around the very spot on her lower back that just Friday hurt like hell. Spencer broke away from him. I don't even have your number. Don't worry, Wren whispered. I'll call you. Spencer stood out on the edge of her vast yard for a moment, watching Wren walk on to his car. As he drove away, her eyes stung with tears again. If only she had someone to talk to, someone who wasn't banned from her house. She glanced back at the alley shrine and wondered how her old friends were dealing with this. As Wren pulled to the end of the street, Spencer noticed another car's headlights turn in. She froze. Was that her parents? Had they seen Wren? The headlights inched closer. Suddenly, Spencer realized who it was. The sky was dark purple, but she could just make out Andrew Campbell's longish hair. She gasped, ducked behind her mother's rose bushes. Andrew slowly pulled his Mini up to her mailbox, opened it, slid something in, and neatly closed it again. He drove away. She waited until he was gone before sprinting out to the curb and wrenching open the mailbox. Andrew had left her a folded-up piece of notebook paper. Hey, Spencer, I didn't know if you were taking any calls. I'm really sorry about Allison. I hope my blanket helped you yesterday. Andrew. Spencer turned up her driveway, reading and rereading the note. She stared at the slanty boy handwriting. Blanket? What blanket? Then she realized it was Andrew who helped her. She crumpled up the note in her hands and started sobbing all over again.